Wait for the live stream. There we go. And welcome everybody this evening. I'd also like to welcome those viewers who've just been turned on and watching the meeting via the live stream. And if we can get started, I'll ask you all now to please be upstanding. Deputy Mayor Migdale, could you read the opening prayer?
I certainly can. Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all our discussions to show goodness, honesty, understanding, and wisdom in all that we undertake to do. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Councillor Corrado, could you read the acknowledgement of country, please?
On behalf of councillors, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. You can take your seats, everyone. Without prior approval, any recording of this meeting is prohibited. No action should be taken on any resolution of council prior to written advice from the city being received. Brings to item 1, which is the official opening. I declare the council meeting of the 26th of August 2025 open at 6:30 p.m. Item 2, apologies, I have nil. 3, approved leave of absence, I have nil. Brings us to item 4, disclosure of interest. There is a long list from the Community and Resource Committee on the 19th of August. Councillors, if you can just have a look at the list behind me and just check that you're on there. If you're not and you need to be, let me know. Councillors, are there any disclosures this evening? Councillor Lagan?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'll be putting a disclosure in for item 13.1.
Thank you. And what is the nature?
I have one. It is an impartiality notice, as I have been a guest at the Inglewood markets.
Sure. Thanks. Any other councillors? Councillor Reid? Yep.
I'm not quite sure whether it's an impartial interest, but looking at the table, I suppose what 12.1 SP1 is because, one, that actually was my questions on notice, so therefore being in the community, and I think we've all got an interest in common, therefore I wouldn't have initially put it up, but I think because it's been brought out by quite a few councillors, I think we've all got an interest in it because it involves most wards or projects across the city. So I just say an impartial interest because I'm associated with the clubs and some of the potential recipients.
You're welcome to. I wouldn't say there's any.
Well, quite a few others.
But you're welcome to. Yeah.
I would have just not said. I would just said an interest in common. But however, just to be careful.
Thank you, Councillor Perkoff.
Thank you, Mayor Irwin. 13.1 as well, as I have been a guest at the Inglewood night markets.
All right. Thanks, councillors. Mr. Salence.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a declaration of interest from Councillor Giudice for item 13.1. It's an impartiality interest, as he was a former chair of the Inglewood on Beaufort, whom is seeking funds for its night markets, and have spoken to the organisers about the event that has been organised for this season. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Christovich.
Yeah, and I'll also declare 13.1 because I've been there on one occasion.
Thank you. Okay. I think it's been suitably disclosed. Councillors, I'll move on to item 5, which is petitions. Councillor Perkoff, I understand you have a e-petition you'd like to table?
I do, thank you, Mayor. I do have an e-petition heading Improved Lighting in Carina Regional Open Space. An e-petition with 6 verified signatures has been received, as well as a separate hard copy submission containing 76 signatures, of which 22 were verified signatures. The petition reads as follows. We respectfully request that the City of Stirling take immediate steps to provide lighting in Carina Regional Open Space by, I'm going to summarise the following, implementing off-grid solar lighting, installing LED light systems in the park's 12 picnic shelters, similar to those at some other councils, which is modern 12-volt lighting solar systems, vandal-resistant and fitted with tamper-proof screws, can provide illumination in winter and extend to midnight in summer. Also install solar-powered lampposts throughout Carina Open Space and within the dog enclosure, and also apply to Western Power to install either some twin street lights on existing poles or single lights on some other existing poles on the Oakley Road in Careen. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Are there any other unverified petitions, councillors? If not, can I have a move and a second to accept that petition? Move councillor Olo, seconded councillor Papard. Just a show of hands will do, councillors, just to accept those. That's unanimous. 6, responses to previous questions from members. I've nil. On to public question time. We do have some questions for this evening, and I'll ask Andrea Garvey if you'd like to start us off and come forward. If you head up to the podium just up here, straight in front. Just on the bottom right corner, you'll see the silver button on the microphone. So just on the base of the microphone there. And you press that. That's it. And just leave that now. That's on. And I'll just get you to state your name and your suburb only, and then your first question.
Andrea Garvey, Hammersley.
Thank you.
My question is with relation to the petition, and there 3 questions which go within each other. The first one is, will the City of Stirling consider installing off-the-grid solar pathway lighting with warm amber yellow wavelengths in Careen Regional Open Space, given that the current floodlights are controlled by a third party, only available during sporting matches, and are environmentally unsuitable?
Thank you. I'll get you a response. Mr. Murphy?
Yeah, to you, Mr. Mayor. The simple answer is yes. Although that work is not currently in our work programme, we can certainly look at some options at a high level.
Thank you. My second question, will the City of Stirling consider installing small-scale off-the-grid solar lighting in the 13 picnic shelters within Careen Regional Open Space to improve safety, usability and community access during early evenings while ensuring a solution is sustainable and environmentally sensitive?
Thank you. Mr. Murphy?
Yes, you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Yes, the priority currently for Careen Open Space, which is currently budgeted, is a $2 million replacement and upgrade of the regional playground and the associated infrastructure. However, the city would be happy to look further into lighting options for the 13 picnic shelters that you describe.
Basically, the last one was, would the City of Stirling develop a plan for sustainable lighting across Careen Open Space, including the pathways, picnic shelters and high-use community areas?
And thank you. And look, to summarise, obviously, the petition's been received by council. It will certainly be considered as part of the upgrades of Careen Open Space, and officers, I'm sure, will be in contact with yourself as a lead petitioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Russell. Thank you. And just your name and suburb, please.
Good evening, everyone. Mary Russell, Yokine. The City of Stirling and the West Australian Golf Course are aware of the continuing episodes of golf balls being hit out of bounds from the golf course. Both parties have acknowledged the damage to properties, vehicles and countless balls that have narrowly missed pedestrians and moving vehicles. My first question is, can the council, I'm going to put my glasses on. Can the council provide the outcome of the options and costings that the golf club have submitted that were being reviewed, I understand, by the manager of Hammersley Golf Club?
Thank you. Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Russell. The golf manager has reviewed those, and we have some questions to go back to the golf club on. The manager's also offered some alternative solutions, so we're working through that with WA Golf Club at the moment. And once we firm those up, we'll be able to share them more broadly.
Will there be a deadline set on that?
Through the Mayor, we haven't given the golf club a deadline, but we are working with them. So it's certainly sort of days that we're talking about. We're also looking to arrange a meeting with the manager of the WA Golf Club, and he's asked me for dates for next week. So we're moving forward.
My second question, has it been established how the option selected will be funded? As the golf club have stated, they are not in a position to finance, they're not in a position to pay for any effective options.
Thank you. No, it hasn't been determined yet. It's certainly not part of our current budget. I think once the city officers have worked through those different options, we'll certainly present them to you, and then the job would be to work out who funds those options.
Thank you. In the interim, how does the council propose that all those at risk of errant golf balls protect themselves from injury and other damage? And what progress is being made on the request for warning signs to be erected on the external boundary of the golf course?
Thank you. Is that you, Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, through the Mayor. And thanks, Mr Russell. We passed that on. I spoke to Damien as well around that and passed on that request for signage. So that's something that he is dealing with through a meeting, I think, on Thursday this week.
So,
I can-
no
again, I
other
can-
recommendations how we can protect ourselves in the meantime? Because from what I understand, this is going to be quite a drawn-out process.
Not necessarily. I think Ms Hawkins already answered that. So it is days rather than months in terms of those outcomes, and then they'll be presented to you, and Ms Hawkins will make contact with you and go through that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roland Hadley.
Good evening, Roland Hadley, Woodlands. At the last council meeting, I asked why ratepayers living in the eastern suburbs had to travel to Scarborough to attend any of the boardwalk meetings. Why were none of the city's assets in Inglewood, Dianella and Osmond Park libraries and the Mirrabooka Centre were never utilised? The minutes stated that the city uses a proximity-based approach, i.e. Scarborough and Trigg. Residents from Dianella inquired if there's an ulterior motive at play here, and they seek a minimum of a 2-week extension of this survey so they can get more information. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. The current consultation follows the consultation policy that was endorsed by council. There's certainly been a lot of consultation throughout the whole city of Stirling. I know that the current series of the consultation regarding the strategic plan has gone right throughout the city, and it's been one of those items that has been mentioned as part of that.
Is that it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Second question. After consultation with ratepayers 3 years ago, it was decided that the Carnop Library remains in its present location. We now hear that allegedly patronage has partly declined. Yet some 40 months ago, Mayor Irwin was proclaiming that Carnop Library was the most populous in the Southern Hemisphere. I attend this library on a weekly basis myself, and it's constantly busy. My question is, why has there not been regular maintenance conducted at these premises? It is both negligent and alarming. Ratepayers request that you fix this problem.
Thank you for that. Your comments are noted. We can provide you a response in writing in regards to the maintenance that has occurred at that building.
Question 3, continuing on the same lines. Perth now report that there are issues linked with the library, particularly access and parking, since the development of the centre. There is parking to the west of the building, 22 metres away, and approximately 62 metres away to the east, and access is easy. So can this council explain why there may be such a problem with access and parking?
Thank you for that question. That would be a perception of the people that use the facility. The Carnop precinct is extremely busy, as we hear about regularly at these meetings. The library car park isn't necessarily separated from the shopping centre car park.
True.
Currently, council has resolved that different options for the future of that site be presented into a public forum. There is no current intent to move the library or not to have a library at that facility.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Thompson. Thank you. Just your name and suburb. Thanks.
Lisa Thompson, Trigg. Good evening, everybody, Mr Mayor and councillors. As you're aware, the Boardwalk feasibility study is currently into its submission phase. This submission phase began on the 30th of July, and the council hosted numerous community engagement sessions and a big one on the 10th of August with more than a dozen staff to help explain design structure, relevant costs and social benefits. My question is, Mr Mayor, do you think this consultation period is being run in an open and accountable manner in accordance with due process with the city's and local government's ethical guidelines and is being conducted in a transparent fashion?
Yes, I do.
So let me get this right. You think everything has been run properly and fairly?
I've answered you, Miss.
Thanks. Then why, Mr Mayor, did this council not release the full Urbis report concerning the economic impact statement of the proposed boardwalk until the 15th of August, 2 weeks after the consultation period commenced and only after questioning from a ratepayer. This report outlined the current cost of the boardwalk skyrocketing in price by 35% from $18.5 million to a whopping $25 million. We now have a boardwalk that has the possibility of food and drinks being made available, as well as provision for exercise facilities on the nodes. There is more. This is key information that the community should have had at their disposal at the launch of the submission phase on the 30th of July. This is a fundamental flaw in your consultation process, a process that you said was just ethical, open and accountable.
Is there a question, Ms Thompson?
There is. The way that this was handled raises serious questions about the city's governance and transparency and its duty in caring and conserving protected sites.
Question, Ms Thompson.
My question, how is the city going to handle and respond to this situation when numerous community submissions have been made without all the relevant facts? And who made the decision not to release this document?
Thank you for that question. The city's administration have conducted all consultation in line with our policies and the relevant information. I'm not entirely sure what information your
so this is
question
the
relates
full
to. No, I
Urbis report.
The,
So we got 4 pages of it.
options- The options that you're mentioning aren't what is recommended by the city that are open for consultation.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't understand.
The part you're talking about
Yep.
is not recommended by the city, which is why it wasn't consulted on. There is
What,
there is no current.
the price
There is no
or-
ice cream shops currently proposed.
No, I'm not saying that. What about the price? The price is the big one, Mr Mayor.
We'll respond to you in writing, Ms Thompson.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Pierre Magaraggia.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors and public and ratepayers. My name is Pierre Magaraggia, Karrinyup, South Karrinyup. Have 3 questions. One in particular, I proposed a question to your customer service on the 31st of July, so I'm awaiting a reply. And it is, can you follow up on my initial inquiry providing me with information on the COS planning department's methodology, process and how they get proposed and current capital projects insurance cover and who the insurer is? So the question is, if COS is planning to build a large-scale structure, for example, ramp, jetty, coastal beaches, parks, areas subject to high wind, vulnerable to high climate change and eventual corrosion, what is the COS planning process to ensure prior to building such a structure that the insurance will be provided and underwritten in the event of a short and long-term storm kind of climatic region, future erosion created through environmental climate changes? That's the question.
Thank you. And we can obviously respond to you in detail with that. All of the city's infrastructure would be insured through LGIS.
Okay, but there's a bit more to that. And secondly, why has it taken so long to get such a simple answer?
Yeah,
it's more about the process of planning capital projects.
I understand. I said we'll respond to you in writing with the detail around it.
I'm still waiting, and that consultation process
I've
has
said
been...
that we'll respond. I'm not aware of why. You will receive a response in writing.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, question 2. How does the COS collate and analyse the community consultation feedback information? That is, it is processed by an independent, neutral, secure consultancy company or other?
No.
So how is it done?
It's done in-house by the city's administration who conduct the consultation.
So through the councillors or basically admin people?
Sorry, I've already answered it. It's done through the administration staff who conduct the consultation. Council have no involvement in the consultation process.
All right, thank you. I've got one more question. I received this very glossy Build the Boardwalk brochure in my mail. It looks very professionally done, has a lot of resemblance to the actual consultation photos that are being put on the boardwalk. I have no idea how this particular group would have got hold of such a photo without copyright. So the question is, I received this flyer in the mail. I was wondering if this was authorised by the council since it uses high resolution print. suitable images that only the council has? If not, did the council authorise the images to be used by the second party? Would they not have been copyright considering council paid for them?
Thank you, and we can respond to you in writing with that.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Robin Murphy. And just as you're coming up, Ms Murphy, I'll do rule to extend public question time past the 15 minutes. Thank you. Just your name and suburb.
Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. Robin Murphy, Karrinyup. I'm the convener of the Friends of Trig Beach, and my questions relate to the Coastal Boardwalk, unsurprisingly. I have made 4 Freedom of Information requests to the City about the decision-making processes surrounding the allocation of $500,000 to a coastal boardwalk feasibility study, the procurement policy and practices and budget expenditure. The FOI Act requires a notice of decision to be provided to an applicant within 45 days. The City is demonstrably unable to meet this statutory requirement. The notice of decision for my first application in October 2024 was 8 days late. The second was 23 days late, and I'm still awaiting the third and fourth, both of which are 38 days late. I've been very reasonable in agreeing to requests for extension of time, but my patience and time is running out to have this information before the City's public consultation deadline of 30th of August. Can the Council explain why it is not providing adequate resources, budget and staff to enable the FOI Office to meet its statutory obligations under the FOI Act?
Thank you. Mr Salents.
Through you, Mr Mayor. We are aware that Ms Murphy has 2 Freedom of Information requests still outstanding. From my understanding, we are required to review over 230 documents that have been discovered through the process. We do understand that we have sought and got agreement from you in terms of extensions of time, which we do appreciate. In terms of your outstanding FOIs, my understanding from my office is that the decision should be coming to you in the next couple of days.
I may need to have an extension of time for my submission on the boardwalk because I need those documents. That was my reason for requesting them. My second question, I note that Natural Area Environment Survey was contracted by UDLA to carry out a basic flora and fauna survey of a portion of Trig Beach for the concept design of what it called the Stirling Boardwalk. Is this a new name for this isn't my question, I was just making the observation, a new name for the council's boardwalk, perhaps to make it appeal to ratepayers outside the coastal ward? I digress. Is this the same Natural Area Consulting which prepared the city's Trig Bushland Management Plan, which was updated in 2018 to include the threatened ecological community of Rottnest Island Pines in Sector 6 of the Trig Bushland, called the South Trig Beach Class A Reserve? And in this report, it's stated that a buffer of at least 50 metres be established around the TEC, the Threatened Ecological Community, and that no fragmentation should occur in the steep dunes and dense vegetation that surround it. So my question is it the same Natural Area Consulting?
Thank you, Ms Murphy, and we'll respond to you in writing with those details.
Number 3, question 3. I note that event sponsorship is on tonight's council agenda as a confidential item. I also note that Coastal Ward councillors Christosevich and Papard have both disclosed an impartial interest in this item because they are both members of a club proposed to receive sponsorship. I also note that Scarborough
Sorry,
Beach...
that's not necessarily correct, Ms Murphy, but continue.
No, that's actually written in the agenda. I'm quoting from it. I'm quoting from the agenda. I also note that the Scarborough Beach Association is a recipient of $70,000 event sponsorship from the City of Stirling to run the highly profitable Scarborough Beach markets. Is it a fact that both coastal ward councillors are honorary members of the Scarborough Beach Association? Will they therefore absent themselves from the debate on the event sponsorship item and abstain from voting on the said item?
Thank you. Mr Salents.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the only reason why an elected member needs to vacate the meeting room is if a financial interest is declared.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It is important to note that council have no involvement in the decision-making process or the deliberation in terms of what groups or organisations receive those grants. It's an independent grant unit of the City of Stirling. Mike Masiello.
Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, executive team, public gallery. My name is Mike Masiello from Trig. It is standard industry practice to list the names and qualifications of the authors within an environmental report to affirm a report's credibility and meet EPA technical requirements. The consultant's name have been omitted from the Natural Areas Report 2025 uploaded on the City's community consultation page. I have asked the project manager for the names of these consultants, however this information has not been provided. In the interest of transparency and to comply with EPA technical guidance, please provide the names and qualifications of the two environmental scientists that completed the vegetation assessment, and if this cannot be provided, please explain why.
Thank you for that, and we'll respond to you in writing, Mr Masiello.
Question 2. On April 15th, I sent an email to Ms Woolsencroft questioning the logic in the City's proposed timeline sequence for the vegetation survey, concept design and community consultation. On April 27, Ms Woolsencroft replied stating, "The flora and fauna assessment would be conducted in spring of this year as recommended by COTERA." Further, she stated it was not recommended to do a vegetation survey in autumn as the results may not be accurate. The City officers then ignored this recommendation and completed the vegetation survey in autumn after one of the driest summers on record. There was only 20 millimetres of rain recorded in the 5 months preceding that vegetation survey, which then governed the boardwalk location and all the recommendations. The incorrect conclusions drawn from this vegetation survey was then used to guide the location of the boardwalk, which was incorrectly referred to as degraded vegetation. If City officers were aware that an autumn vegetation survey could produce inaccurate results, why did they use this inaccurate data to guide the path of the boardwalk?
Thank you for that question, and we'll respond to you in writing, Mr Masiello.
Along with a number of elected members, I attended an independent evidence-based information session regarding the proposed coastal boardwalk on the 17th of August. This session was facilitated by a world-renowned expert who has conducted 6 highly detailed flora and fauna surveys in the South Trig Beach Reserve for the City and SNEC over a 15-year period, with the latest assessment completed in spring 2024. This independent expert has confirmed that the Natural Areas 2025 findings, the assessment I just talked about that was conducted in autumn, that informed UDLA's boardwalk pathway, Journey B, is flawed. This invalidates the environmental endorsement made by UDLA and further invalidates information used by the City to inform the public through the community consultation process. How can the City draw any valid findings from this community consultation process, which, when it is evident now, it is based on inaccurate and flawed information?
Thank you for that, and we'll respond to you in writing. Those comments will obviously inform some of your comments around the boardwalk submission, Mr Masiello.
No problems. Thanks.
Thank you. That's all I have on my list. Are there any other questions from the gallery this evening? If not, thank you very much. And we'll move on to item 8, application for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any requests for leave of absence this evening? No indication. Item 9, confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on the 12th of August 2025? Moved Councillor Lagan, seconded Councillor Kristovich. And just a show of hands to accept those minutes, councillors. That's unanimous. Oh, sorry, yep, that's unanimous. Thanks, councillors. Announcements by the presiding member. I don't have any, but I think Councillor Perkoff has a brief one from an event he attended.
Certainly do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, councillors, we don't realise how fortunate we are in the City of Stirling to have some groups and organisations of this particular quality who presented this book to us in the last couple of days. It's an anthology called Fact, Fiction and Fantasy, and it's been handed to us, to yourself, from the Karrinyup Writers Club. They've existed for 40 years, pretty much in the City of Stirling. You may not have heard of them, but they're a very robust bunch of writers, very interesting group of people. Now, featuring inside this book is a foreword from our very own Mayor, Mark Irwin, and also featuring further inside is a little couple of lines and a photo of Councillor Stephanie Proud. So very happy to have received this on your behalf, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if they've got any more copies because I'd like a copy of this.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll move on to item 11, unresolved business from previous meetings. I have nil. And now on to 12, reports and recommendations of committees. It was a significant Community and Resource Committee meeting. So I will ask you, councillors, are there any items you wish to pull out this evening? Councillor Dudek.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll just pull out 12.1 Gov 2.
Let me just find it. There we go. That's on page 188. Yeah, if you can just tell me the page.
Sorry, yeah,
that's all right.
page 188.
So I can find them a bit easier. Thanks, councillor. Looking around, anyone else? Councillor Reeve? Sure, but which ones?
I'd like to have a question on 12.1 SP1, which could be answered, 14.
Yep.
And also on 12.1 GOV3.
Okay.
Oh, and wait a minute. And just a question on 12.1 CC1, please.
On 12.1. Sorry, which ones?
12.1 CC1 on page 31.
Okay. Councillor, are those questions we can do before we do them on block, or are they questions that will need the item pulled out? It's up to you.
No, I can ask him now.
Sure. Okay, well, let me just go around first and I'll just check. Are there any other items you wish to pull out, councillors?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just item 13.1. And
That doesn't need to be pulled out, I don't think.
Okay, and 13.
No, they're already out. Yep, they're separate. All right, so let's just, before we, so we've only got one that needs to be pulled out, which is 12.1 GOV1. Councillor Ree, in relation to 12.1 SP1, your question?
Yes, thank you. And I thought I might have been told that it was going to go from my questions on notice to a report. That would have been good beforehand. But anyway, I don't know how understanding orders that got changed. But I just want to know whether or not, thank you very much for the information, and I know it's fluid. I think we have to appreciate that it's not all the commitments could go wherever. I just want to know from here on, what is the process? Everybody now knows what was suggested, implied, promised, whatever adjective you want to use. What's the process now? Because it doesn't say, please.
So there's a process under play. So it comes under strategy and performance team. They will have oversight on all of these projects. Given the significant amount of funding, I think it was $37 million just in that funding commitments to Stirling, and obviously then acknowledging across the state those other commitments. The team's been working closely with the different state government agencies in working out what the different delivery methods for all of those funding arms are. I would envisage that council, there'll be another report of some sort coming back in line with your request, Councillor Ree, once it's noted. So some of those items, for example, might have been items that were already on the runway for the City of Stirling in our priorities. Some of them may not have been. So it's about working through with some of those clubs and understanding what their requirements are, also what the intent of some of the commitments were. The state government has also been quite open to discussing with our team in terms of what the actual total funding requirement might be, so they can determine if other funding mechanisms are needed to top up funding as well. So there'll be a future report come back to council with all that information.
So I appreciate that you've got a team of staff looking at it, and you've got the politicians saying where we'll go politically. But what happens to the ward councillors or the public? Are we anywhere in the mix? You know, like they might say they'll give, you know, 6 million to a bowling club. Are we any, as the people, the community, councillors, anyone else involved in this discussion where it could go?
Yeah, definitely.
Before it comes to council, before it's approved?
Yes, I would think so. They're all very different. Some of the funding would go direct to the clubs. Some of them are so preliminary that no one even understands what the funding commitment necessarily was. But once those preliminary discussions have happened, then there will be more formal ones on individuals, especially those bigger ticket items like the ones you pulled out, would involve the ward councillors and obviously the club to understand theirs with the local member as well.
I like to say, I think it's really good that we're open and accountable with this, along with the state government for those that were candidates and those that weren't. I think we need to look at where the ratepayers' money is going and overarching. So I think this is a good idea.
Thank you. 12.1 CC1, the complaints policy. You had a question on that one?
My question is, does it, I know they haven't referenced it on page, where are we? I'll tell you, on page, we can just use page 45 for an example, but they haven't referenced the integrity management policy, chart, flow chart. Why would that not be referenced here? Because that's actually, you know,
Mr. Slentz?
it says how people go about it, and I would have thought that would be referenced.
Yeah, Mr. Slentz?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this policy is in regards to external complaints in terms of the city's services. This is not in terms of integrity complaints revolving employees or elected members. So the integrity and misconduct management practice, which you're referring to, is and deals with integrity and misconduct matters around elected members and employees, where this is about complaints process from city customers.
And Councillor, you had a question on 12.1 Gov 3 on the committee and advisory group external members.
Just on that one, on page, where we talk about the actual environment, we've got the Environment Advisory Committee. Why would we have a committee just calling Environment Advisory Group? Is it the same, or are we replacing, or is it extra?
I think that's what the actual report is talking about. Mr. Murphy?
Thank you for the question, and through the chair. The key outcome of this review and the report is that 2 advisory groups were retained and the others will be transitioned to working groups, which is why it's listed, as you've mentioned, as the Environmental Working Group.
Through you, so I'm a little bit confused. So we're going to a workshop, so a working group, so we've still got members from the public coming, no? Because somewhere when you read it, it doesn't say that actually got people from the outside or not. So
yes,
are we going to have still staff, councillors and members of the public, the three-way?
Yes.
Four-way and expertise?
Yep.
That's okay. And we
it's just a terminology more than anything that's changing.
Yeah, I just think it gets lost when you sort of read it all. And and we still don't have heritage back. We don't still value heritage with our reviews.
That was a separate thing that was resolved by Councillor Rees. So.
Yeah, I know, but I just wondered whether the review thought they might bring it back. That's all.
Yeah.
So we don't see that. Okay, thanks.
In fairness, they wouldn't have looked at it because it was a council resolution not to. That's all. Okay, and Councillor Dudak, you've pulled out 12.1 GOV1, the civic policy. As chair of the committee, Councillor Perkoff, do you have a motion?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
I think you just had a question, Mr. Mayor.
GOV2.
Sorry, yeah. Yes. Sorry, I was looking at GOV2 when I don't know what I read out. So it is GOV2.
Mr. Mayor, I believe there is an alt rec on the table from Councillor Dudek.
And I think you've moved the committee recommendation.
I'd like to move the committee recommendations as written on page 188.
Thank you. And Councillor Dudek, would you like to just second that with a small amendment. I don't think yours amendment, from what I know, changes.
It doesn't change too much. I'm happy to do it separately as an amendment, but otherwise, yes. I've provided it earlier, 12.1 GOV2, the small amendment with the following amendments, that section 1E is amended to replace the word stakeholders with guests as per the existing policy, and section 3 is amended to add the words the mayor and prior to the CEO as per the existing policy. I'm happy to provide a brief justification if needed.
Thank you. And I'll just check with the mover first. Are you happy to accept those? I don't think it changes the intent of the committee.
Happy to accept it, Mr Mayor.
That's all. You can provide a quick reasoning and then we'll see if anyone's opposed to those. I don't think they change it though.
Yeah, it doesn't change it too much. Obviously, section 1E, replacing stakeholders with guests. I think there's, we don't currently, I think, abuse this policy at all. It's used well. I imagine some people we do invite back currently, say a councillor from another local government, would be classed more as a guest as opposed to a stakeholder of the city. And I don't think it's necessarily against the intent of the policy to include those. The words the mayor and just provides having the mayor also give approval to any flags that were flying for a week on the flagpoles. I think often we can see the CEO interchangeably with our current Mr Roddick, who we wouldn't have any issues with him approving, but I think for future councils, you never know who's in these positions, and it's always good to have both the mayor as the representative of council, CEO as representative of the administration approving these before they go up, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think that changes the committee's intent at all. I think they're fairly minor. Councillors, I've got a mover and a seconder for that. Is there anyone opposed or questions? Are you opposed, Councillor Ree, or questions?
Consider an amendment, depending on what your comment is. I mean, you know, if you want to fly the Dockers or Eagles flag, that's good. So I think that covers that. The other things is, I did write up a motion about including in civic events all the members of parliament, and that didn't go through, but it was going to be addressed in a policy. I don't know what policy it went to or where it went, that, you know, that we invite all the members of parliament that are governed through the whole lot of us, 27 of them or whatever, to all citizenships or whatever, and the motion wasn't stopped because it said it was going to go to a policy. Is this the policy?
Yeah, but it already happened. So the different events are normally determined through our civic facilities policy, but it's also determined through our events. So it comes under the manager, and there's events like that. We had one recently where we invited all those members of parliament.
So it doesn't. So coming back to what you just said, then it should be written in here, or you're saying it doesn't have to be defined?
No, I don't think anything. I think it's not defining each event that can happen or not. There's events that can happen time to time. This is just ensuring that the framework that sits around those events that are run.
Okay.
So, and this one is more about the actual facility than the actual event.
So that doesn't get called up anywhere then?
No, but I don't think it needs to. It's something that already happened. So all members of parliament are invited to events. Yeah, and you're welcome to raise it with me anytime if you'd like.
Oh, I have.
If we missed
I raised it as a motion, but I thought it was going to be incorporated into policy. Okay, I'll figure out what happened to that. My other comment is, with the civic forecourt now being upgraded, should that not be somewhere, or are we considering that like if like the remote control car club wanted to use the forecourt, is that considered a civic or considered a? Should that not be in here?
I don't think that needs to be covered in the civic facilities policy. That sort of stuff is normally managed through the team, the administration.
Oh, so that's administration. Okay, that's. Somebody asked me when they read it, and I said I didn't know.
No, this is just purely about the rooms within the civic side of the building, just to ensure the community purpose.
Just from that, the Rotary Club wouldn't be kicked out of the car park because they're not caught up in this policy.
No, certainly not.
That's just a question that was asked. That's all.
Great. All right, so we have a motion. There's no one opposed, so we'll put that to the vote. Page 188. That's unanimous. Thanks, councillors. That brings us to you, Councillor Perkov, as Chair of the committee, if you'd like to move those balance of reports from the committee.
With great pleasure, Mr Mayor. The balance of reports moved as written on block.
Councillor Proud has seconded those, and I'll put those to the vote. Thank you, and that is unanimous. So members of the gallery and those viewing at home, please note the remainder of the community and resource recommendations have been adopted by exception resolution. Thanks, councillors. It is worth noting, my apologies, I wasn't here for committee this week. It was my wife's birthday. But what I do understand is it was a very robust debate, which is probably why that was taken on block there. So I appreciate you not pulling them all out again. Well done. We'll move on to item 13, reports for consideration in accordance with clause 4.24 of the meeting procedure local law. The first one of those is 13.1, the Community Grants Program, Round 1, Large Grants. Do I have a mover of a motion? Councillor Giudice. Whoa.
With a minor amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I'm going to make a ruling here. I wasn't aware this was coming up. I want to just make a comment that Community Grants Program, Council resolved a while back that each grant doesn't come to Council for a very good reason. And you've seen it, if you go back to the agenda and have a look at the conflicts or the relationships each of you has with your community, which I would expect from a good council. You would have extremely good relationships with all your community groups. The last thing we want is for you to be bidding, it's probably the wrong word, but that what happens is each of you has a connection to your own ward. So the process is an independent grants process where they apply. They must not lobby councillors or do any of that. It goes through a process, a very robust process with a panel where a lot of information is taken on board, including their past history working with the city, their finances, etc. And then the recommendation is come to council. The idea of that is you have two roles really. You can approve or not approve the grants. What I would suggest you can do if you have a problem with one is you can ask for it to be removed and reconsidered. But I think it's a dangerous path to go down. I understand your intent, but I think it's a dangerous path to go down to start to change amounts without that information before you. Does that help?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, you may.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I appreciate where you're going with that and yeah, fully appreciate that concern that we may be looking to look at individual events. I suppose what's just come apparent to me in the last 24 hours is the costs that have been or are going to be borne in the coming season by Inglewood on Beaufort for traffic management, which is something really quite intrinsic to that event. So there's a 30% increase, and with all due respect to the officers and their work and the independence that they run with it, they weren't aware of that cost, I don't believe, as part of their application. And I have talked to the officers this afternoon around that. And so, I mean, with the consideration of talking to the officers, we've come to the conclusion that on this occasion, the $10,000, which doesn't actually cover the full cost of that, would be appropriate given that new information.
So I will check that. Thanks, Councillor, because there is another way to go down. I will check through officers. Is that the officers' recommendation then? Is that what I'm hearing? The officers have recommended that change?
Sorry, through the Mayor, that wasn't the change recommended by officers, and I haven't tested that with the panel that conducted the assessment.
Can I just ask, in terms of council making a decision tonight, is there a time, is this time sensitive in any way, or could this be something that, for example, could the motion, I just don't want to set a dangerous precedent, is it something that that it be approved and that the item or the grant relating to Inglewood Monday night be reviewed by the team given the new information? Is that and it come back to council? Is that something that's fine?
Certainly I could, yes, and we could then, on that basis. I think the only thing that I would counter with that is that we haven't given that opportunity to any other applicant through this process, and that all the panel have made the assessment based on the information that's been provided in the application.
Thank you. So obviously it's up to you, Councillor Giudice. You are welcome to put any motion up. But
no, look, I mean, I suppose this is unusual circumstances insofar as it's only come up to full council. Normally it would go to CRC, and there may have been some more opportunity to converse with Inglewood on Beaufort and the officers to realise this, and also appreciating that maybe other
applicants through this event process may not have had sufficient time to consider the ramifications. There has been some considerable changes between the requested amounts. But yeah, look, I'd like to test this with my fellow councillors and see where it leads us with this recommendation.
Councillor Hatton, are you seconding this?
No, Mr Mayor.
Okay.
Question.
All right. Well, I need a seconder first. Councillor Lagan is seconding. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Kristovich? Thank you. Then I will open debate. Councillor Giudice, I think you've done a bit of it already.
I have done a bit of it already. Look, I'd just like to say that, as I say, look, from a personal level, I have been the chair of this organisation in Wollongong Both that's run this event. It says 9 seasons, but I think it's 10. It is a very successful event in the Inglewood community, and I suppose my fear is that if we it's a $25,000 reduction from what was requested, from 55 down to 30. So that is quite a considerable reduction, and I'm only seeking a proportion of that to be increased. And I must admit, I was actually going to let it be left as 30,000 because I had recognised that a number of other events had also received significant reductions from previous requests. However, as I say, I was made aware of what is principally a very key part of the event, which is traffic management. And if that's going up, as I say, 30%, that's around $600 per night or per event. And the event runs for 26 days of the year, or practically half the year. So that's about $15,000 straight off. So coupled with that $25,000 reduction and the $15,000 that I understand the season is going to cost them extra, I did feel that this was a modicum of I suppose, additional monies to cover those costs. So hence the reason why I sought this. And yeah, I'll close it there.
Thanks. Councillor Lagan?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, thanks to the officers who spoke to myself and Councillor Giudice this afternoon. Look, I refer to this when I think about our overall community plan, our documents for planning for sustainability of community events, and our recognition of the desire for community both to be involved and run events. The word I used a moment ago, sustainability, is what is driving my supporting this. Some groups are now finding their sustainability difficult because additional costs to do with safety and risk management have been added and are increasing rapidly year on year. Traffic management is one of them. This group did ask for a substantial amount, and under discussion today, myself and Councillor Giudice with officers have suggested this additional amount, not the amount up to the 50 or plus that they were looking for. I think this is reasonable given that they've been facing costs that have been rapidly changing, and over a number of years we have had discussion about this, this impact of traffic management on city events and how we can reduce it. Unfortunately for this group, they can't reduce it in this round because it would impact them running the community event. The community still support this event well, and it's an event people come from many parts of Perth to attend. So are the Scarborough markets. I don't think this is an onerous amount. I understand that there may be debate about, well, we need to increase ours because you've increased yours. My suggestion is we need to be cautious. This is about sustainability of one event, not sustainability of all events. The officers were very clear that they had discussed with the group about the issues that they have come forward with, and I think the officers have said they're pretty keen to have ongoing discussions to make it so, to make this happen and to make it more sustainable. I'm happy to support this, and I hope the rest of the council will as well.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Kristovich as opposed. Then, just so you know, because I just saw hands up, I've got Councillor Ree, Migdal and Olo. So,
thank you very much. A couple of questions first. I mean, were the panel aware of all of this information when they made these decisions, or is this new information that has just come to light, for example, for this situation?
Ms Waldencroft.
As part of the application process, the applicant, Inglewood and Beaufort, are required to outline all of the costs of their proposed event, and we take that as, once that's submitted in the application, we take that as that is the required budget. I understand from what I was discussing with Councillor Giudice today, that they feel like they may have not reflected that in their application. But so that was not assessed by, that's information that was not assessed by the panel.
And a further question, just in terms of other events, how much time did, for example, the Neuromuscular WA for the Carols at Scarborough, have they been informed, for example, that they're getting a lot less money potentially approved tonight?
Through the mayor. No, they have not been informed at this stage.
Yeah. So I suppose that's, and I'll use that one as an example. So the Carols at Scarborough, you know, they've asked for $45,000. They got 37.5 last year. They've got 37.5 again this year. And like everybody, obviously, we know costs are going up. And the reason for them not getting the 45 was it's a competitive round. There's lots of people. We've got to share the money around. But to me, the focus is what do they need to run their event? Is that an appropriate amount? Not we have to skim 10 grand off you because we want to give some to someone else and someone else and someone else. So I suppose I'm just trying to get a better understanding. So, for example, with the Carols now, will that now be in jeopardy from running because its funding has been reduced and they haven't been told that they're going to get less funding?
No. So I think it's clear. Again, I'm trying not to debate this item, but council's resolution was to put an independent process in place. Council sets the total amount for these grant processes. It's whatever it is, $1 million, I think it is, for the total of the different rounds of grants. The team that do this, then obviously it's advertised more widely these days because part of that is to ensure the same people don't get it all the time, but we make sure that everyone has equity of ability to. They have been very competitive. The amount of people who are applying for these grants grow. And then they look at all those different aspects in terms of the acquittals in previous years, how much the events cost, the rising costs, and they factor that in, obviously, with how much profit they're making. Some, are profitable. Some are more sustainable as they go further, so the actual amount might need to decrease because they become more sustainable. Those sort of things are all factored in.
So my question is, with regards to, for example, the Carols, if 37.5 is not enough and they need the 45, how do we get the 45 to them if we allow this to continue? Because I don't have any information. They haven't spoken to me. I haven't spoken to them. This isn't indicating to me that they're asking for too much money. It's just saying, well, they wanted 45. We think 45 is the right figure, but we want to give someone else some money too, so we're going to give them less. Now, if we're giving them less, is that compromising this event like it is potentially other events? And, so just for that particular one,
So let's get Ms. Waldencroft. So in terms of when it's processed then, the appeal process for the events, do they have a process where they can appeal or state their case, those sort of things?
Through the chair. So what we do as part of the application process is a number of factors that we look into. So one, we ask during the application process whether the application is okay to proceed with partial funding. So one, we know that these applications have ticked that box to say that they would proceed with partial funding. Secondly, we would then work with them through the development of a grant agreement about how they could either potentially modify their event. So say for the Carols, maybe they could reduce the number of entertainment on option, or say for Inglewood on Beaufort, they could reduce the number of weeks that they provide the markets. Or alternatively, what we could do is talk to them about how they could seek funding from other sources, how they could maybe generate revenue or increase their fees associated with the vendors that come to those events. So there's a number of ways that then their team would work with the applicant to then support them to deliver with that reduced funding.
So based on that, would you say that process and that opportunity is available to all of these applicants, including the one that we're currently debating giving extra money to?
Ms. Waldencroft?
Yes, it is. I guess we would need to, though, have that discussion with them because, as Councillor Giudice highlighted around the variation in traffic management costs, whether that would then impact the delivery of their event.
And I suppose that's my final point, is that as part of this process, I think there needs to be an opportunity for the organisations to know how much funding is being proposed well in advance so that they can talk to not just the officers, which they're obviously talking to, but also to the councillors to put forward their rationale as to why they need that sort of funding. Because obviously we're making a decision on the run here in terms of costs are going up. Well, costs are going up. We know costs are going up. But costs are going up everywhere. So I'm sure that the Carrolls, as well as the Scarborough markets, the costs have gone up. But we're giving them a lot less money. So I'm not going to say we have to do something different here. I'm just saying the process needs to be a little bit more transparent so that we're not doing this on the run, because at the end of the day, you said, Mayor, that this is a process we've endorsed, and now what we're saying is that the process we've endorsed is flawed and it's not working, and now we need to make changes at this council meeting. So either the process is working or it's not, and if it's not, because if we're making changes now, that means the process isn't working, then I think we need to go back and review it and see what changes need to be made to the process so that we don't have this bidding war and we don't come back here and say certain costs weren't taken into account. So, you know, I've got no issues with what Councillor Giudice is doing, but I'm concerned about other organisations who've had funding cuts not being in a position, and I'm not going to make a decision on the run here just to give them more money, because I think they should get what they've asked for, because I don't know if they can actually do what they've asked for with the less amount of money.
Thank you. Councillor Ree, I've got you.
Point of clarification, Mr Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
This has effectively been moved as the substantive motion. If it's voted against, we're effectively rejecting all the grants unless it's foreshadowed with the original motion, correct?
That's right. Councillor Ree.
Please. One thing I'd like to, and my apologies, is declare an interest in 13.1 and 12.1, 8.1. Please, impartial, because some of the people are known to me.
Yep.
Okay, my apologies.
That's right. Just do the paperwork.
13.1 and 12.1, 8.1.
Sure.
We're up to
And we're on 13.1 at the moment, though.
13.1. Yeah, with the grant, I take on board the comments, and I think to the 10,000, we did have it some months ago when people were adding all sorts of people to thousands of dollars to the...
Councillors, can we just have a bit of quiet?
And adding their bids for things. I mean, I could add things like bowling clubs and everything else, which, you know, which I agree, we can't... We made one rule, we shouldn't be adding others. But I can see the point. The Wembley Downs District Fair had a meeting with the staff and the CEO about the increasing costs of security, the increasing costs of traffic management. And we're increasing the costs on one hand, so we're saying, you know, $10,000 is what you've got to spend on security, and you've got to spend on waste management, and you've got to spend on recycling or whatever. And then at the same time, they say, well, you know, you're increased it by 15,000, so we can't have 15,000. You're going to have to give us 15,000 to cover those basic costs. So I don't think it's just one place. I think it's across the board,
yes.
And it has been raised. So I don't know whether that particular committee is actually looking at the cost that the city is then putting on people. Because years ago, we used to have our own City of Stirling security officers do the security, and they did it as overtime or whatever, but they were the best people to have because they know what's going on.
So you're entirely correct. Can I just suggest two things? One, if you don't support this, is that you foreshadow the officer's recommendation. Secondly, just to be clear, it is council's decision on the total amount. You can, next year, when this comes up, say, we want more money to go to all our groups and clubs and organisations, and put the budget at 2 million or 3 million. So I just want to make that clear. It's council who sets that budget hike. The committee who look at this, or the panel, is very aware of those cost restraints and takes all of that into account, but they are effectively balancing the fact they can't fund the whole of the event. It's providing, you know, an amount, and it's also taken into the point that you all expect the next round to still have a pot there ready for the next round when it's opened, so they don't want to use it all up. So they have to take all that into account, but it's entirely up to council. But I also want to just keep it clear, because I've now got another 5 of you who want to speak on this item. Let's have a look at what the item is. It is to approve the grants, all right? Let's not talk about the individual events or this is a hole that you can go down all night. Councillor Ree.
But the thing is, we all know that this is an issue across the board. So the staff could either have met the people beforehand and reduced the day or whatever else they wanted to do. So it's within the budget.
They do. There's a whole team who spend hours and hours and
So
days and
obviously-
weeks on this.
Obviously, it hasn't worked. So,
Councillor, there is no.
but we're in two minds here. Well, one, we have to support it because it's across the board because
You
they're
don't.
all in that
So let's be very
support.
clear. One, it does work. There's no, and Councillor Judici is not saying it doesn't work. But let's be very clear. The process is very robust and it works exceptionally well. It's entirely up to council if you support this recommendation or not. Have you finished, Councillor Reid?
But that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that that club is no different from a lot of others that are in the same boat.
Yeah.
And it's unfair if we say no to this when the costs are increasing, so across the board. So I take on your point, but it's putting us in a bad situation because if we say yes to this, then next week we could have lots of other clubs doing in the same boat.
Yes. Councillor Migdale.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to foreshadow the officer's recommendation, please. Am I
Noted.
still permitted to talk to the item?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So just to say, I don't doubt that the addition being requested is potentially necessary, and of course, as everyone has stated, costs are going up. We know that, and I don't have an issue with a particular group needing more funds to be allocated. However, 24 hours ago, I hadn't heard about this ensuing, and the agenda has been out for a while now, and I have not seen the officers' input into amending the dollar values, though at committee it was agreed upon by committee that the original recommendation be approved. So I can wholeheartedly commit to...
Point of clarification.
Sorry.
Did this go to committee?
Was this at committee?
No.
No. Sorry, I'm thinking
That's
about the other sponsorship. My apologies. Though I will say, again, the agenda was not released yesterday, and if there was a discrepancy that needed to be addressed, I personally feel that I would like the input of officers. I don't want to divvy up and change dollar values of funding 5 minutes before we approve it, because whilst that may be acting fairly in the ward councillor's opinion towards a particular group, it could potentially be unfair to the other applicants across the entirety of the city who are also bearing greater costs and expenses. So in this instance, whilst I don't agree with the intention of the alt rec addition, I cannot support it and have therefore foreshadowed.
Thank you. Councillor Olo.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to add to the motion the Osman Park Agricultural Society, that the amount from 30,000 to be taken back to 38,000 as it, as it is a 2-day event, and the cost of the show has gone up considerably to run the show for the 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you. That you're asking for an amendment for Osborne Park, so it's a B to be added and an additional, and here we have it, councillors. Yep. Is there a seconder for the amendment for the Osborne Park show? Councillor Ree is now happy to second that one.
Point of clarification, Mr Mayor. Can they be put separately?
Yes. Yeah. So, councillors, rather than debate this amendment, that I would be okay if we add it as B, and I'll put them separately. And the reason I'm doing that is we're going to go down a rabbit hole of debating each individual event, and it's all the same intent. The reality is it becomes a principal thing, which was my original concern. As mayor, I know I'm not supposed to debate, and I'll try not to. But all I can do is say, this stuff worries me. I caution you tonight, like, you have resolved to have an independent grant process, and now you are going to go through your wards and add bits in. Again, my recommendation is if you had that issue, you should remove it and ask it for it to be reviewed. We'll put B in, so, yeah, so let's have B, and if we can just write that up. So an additional, how much was it for Osborne Park? An additional $8,000. Yeah, an additional, there's no original because the original has a recommendation from officers. Be allocated to, as requested in their grant application. The intent is there. As I said, I'm happy to put them separately. Councillor Olo, do you want to speak any more?
Nothing really further. It's just I did receive a phone call today regarding this, and they are concerns about the cost of running the show because it is a 2-day event and it is a local community event that's once a year that we put out to the community to enjoy. And I think it's really important, and if we can help them with the extra cost, it would be really great for the organisation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perkov, I have you next.
I thought there was others before me, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you used the words that I was going to use. They're going down a rabbit hole. It's exactly how this was going to pan out this evening. I don't mind flexibility in some of the decisions we make. I don't mind a bit of variance, but this sets a pretty dangerous precedent, I think, and it also looks down upon the committee who work on these things. Is it a one-off? Can it be a one-off? I'd like to ask a question whether this is the precedent this evening, or has this happened previously that we've come to this point, and in order to approve everything, I don't want to talk about any other wards, any other things. Has this happened previously? Do we have any indication?
No, it hasn't.
It has not?
No. Previously, each individual item was open for council to talk about.
Yep.
Since council resolved that the independent grant process was put in place, it has not occurred.
And that leads me to where I am, Mr. Mayor. I was quite happy until it all blew up to, on this occasion, support this due to Councillor Judice's debate, but at this point in time, I'm not so certain anymore.
Councillor Proud, I've got you.
Point of clarification.
Sure.
If, Mr. Mayor, if I was to withdraw my, I suppose, recommendation and go with the foreshadowed at the moment, I suppose I tend to agree with, I'm not here, and I don't think we're all here. We can't really speak, except I have got the advice from Inglewood on Beaufort about these costs being increased, but I don't think it's conducive for us to, pick out, as we are doing, these increases, and so as such, I'm considering withdrawing that recommendation. I am. Sorry.
Yes.
If I could, does that then mean that AB disappears and we just go straight to?
If you withdraw your amendment, it's up to Councillor Olo whether she withdraws hers. She will withdraw hers.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to withdraw my amendment. Thank you.
And it goes back to the...
I'll just pull mine out.
Well, effectively, the foreshadow becomes a substantive, so...
And yeah, so we would be falling back to the officer's recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah. And I suppose maybe just a point, and I think it's obviously an unusual circumstance here with the caretaker period before us, and the fact that a lot of these items here are going to be activated, or events are going to be activated during that caretaker period. That's why we're under duress, I suppose, with timing. Yep. But yeah, in normal circumstances, I think it would be advisable, as Councillor Krsticevic was mentioning, that we do advise applicants what funding they are likely to receive, or what's been recommended, so that they can actually provide any advice back to officers as to whether that's going to affect the operation of that event successfully. Because as I say, from my perspective and what's going on at Inglewood on Beaufort, this funding cut is substantial, and not just too dissimilar to some others that have been mentioned tonight. And yeah, it may affect its ongoing, I suppose, community sort of event activation and capability to be run. So that's my biggest concern, and hence the reason why I put up the original amendment.
Understood. Given that, given it's the officer's recommendation, what I will add is I'm sure Ms Walsencroft and the team have been listening intently to the debate. The commitment I will give through the chair is that the team will review this particular one. They'll be happy to have a look in light of the new information and see what can be done to assist. But also I think what would be appropriate at a further date would be a workshop with councillors to actually go through the complexities of the grant process and maybe talk about the future and what the grants team are seeing in terms of the scope and how much money is being requested, so that you're probably more informed for the next time when we do budget allocation for this as well, to understand. Given that it's the officer's recommendation and there is no one opposed, and Councillor Giudice is in effect closed unless there's anyone desperate who's missed out.
I like your suggestion. However, would it be good to have a couple of people, either from Osborne Park Show or someone, actually come in and to the workshop and actually say this is reality?
No, I think no.
Okay.
I don't think it would. But I think that opportunity happens all the time. So there is those opportunities, but I think it's more about the process and understanding the scope of the experience. That feedback can be certainly fed in. So, councillors, let's get back to the agenda. I will close that debate, close Councillor Giudice. Thank you for the robust debate on that, and I'll put that item to the vote. For anyone who's watching on the live stream and is confused, it's the officer's recommendation to accept all of those community grants that has been approved. And I'll go on to item 13.2, milestone event application, Naval Association of Australia. Councillor Giudice, I think you had a motion for this one.
Yes, Mr Mayor, sorry, I'm busily trying to find that.
He's been busy.
It's coming up. 13.2.
No.
Naval Association.
Naval Association.
13.2.
Yep. So I'm just seeking an additional recommendation.
Yep, so it's just adding a part 2 in. If you start, have you passed it in to officers?
I have, yeah.
Yep.
They should have it. Sorry, I'll just...
Here, it's
refer
getting
to
typed now.
I'll try to...
Yeah.
My bloody...
Thank you. Councillor Ree has
Computer
seconded.
can work.
You know, if you had that in paper, that would probably work.
It would potentially. Sorry. Here we go.
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
so-
I'm looking at the screen. That's what. Sorry.
No, so yeah, basically it's that a review of RSL, this is the additional recommendation, that a review of RSL and Naval Association events against funding be undertaken by officers to align the funding with outcomes and expenses of the actual commemoration events. And the reasoning is, these community commemoration events have increased in number at some locations, and the requirements such as traffic, a topic of the last one, traffic management, shade, shelters and infrastructure have also increased. Therefore, a review of the elected members' entitlements policy is warranted to consider the scale and approach to funding so that it may align with these increasing demands.
Thank you. So it's been seconded by Councillor Reid. It's not changing the actual donation or the item. It's just saying that a further review happen. There's been several councillors who've approached me about, especially with the fact that a lot of those monetary donations were just handed out and the discrepancies in terms of all the different RSLs and the services they run. Councillor McDale, have you got a question, or are you? Yes.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. My question is, I thought that the review had already been done to arrive at this recommendation.
No, this is just this recommendation is only a one-off payment in relation to their milestone event that they've requested. As you would have seen in the last month or few weeks, many of you would have seen your local RSL clubs. And I think it's a growing issue. It's been brought up tonight by several of you when you're talking about the events. It's the fact that some of them have now grown, and yet the donation amount is just a straight amount to each club. So it was more about understanding each one and for the year what their events are and what those requirements are. That's all. So it's something I think that many of you have sort of brought up. Is there anyone opposed to this? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Thanks, councillors. Item 14, we'll move on to your notice of motions for consideration. 14.1, Councillor Kristovich, a waste stroll in the coastal ward. Thank you. And Councillor Dudek is happy to second that. Very happy to second that. Councillors, is there anyone opposed to this? Councillor Ferrante?
I wish to hold my remarks and just vote.
Would you, is there? Yeah, it's just to vote against it. No, it's not open for debate, councillor. So I will put that to the vote. Thank you. And that motion is lost. Yes. Do you know what happened? I think everyone went home after the last decision and had a good hard look at themselves. All right. That motion is lost. For, we have Councillor Dudek, Hatton, Kristovich, Migdale, Papard and Ree, and against Councillor Crowdo, Ferrante, Judici, Lagan, Olo, Perkoff, Proud, Thornton and myself. Item 14.2, proposed notice of motion from Councillor Migdale, the FOGO trial.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the alt-rec, please.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Proud has seconded that. Is there anyone opposed? You sure can.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just through you, Mr Mayor. In the report on page 244, there is a reference to these residents as part of the trial being offered a free upgrade to a 240 litre general waste bin. I understand that that size of bin would not be, I suppose, accepted by the Waste Authority as part of, you know, if we were to take this FOGO trial to a, I suppose, a broader application. I'm just questioning through the officers, what do we stand to learn by offering this bin at 240 litres when it's not going to be something that you could translate through to future trials of the FOGO?
Thank you. And I guess that would be part of the report that you would receive.
I suppose, but I just don't see the point of giving them a bin that we're not going to necessarily apply to
let me
the
get some
rollout.
advice.
Through the chair, yes, certainly we will put that in the report. We would essentially lose funding if we did do the larger upgrade. It doesn't align with the funding for Better Bins Plus. However, we can outline all that information in the report, what the benefits, how it's aligned strategically. I think the concern was they're going to a fortnightly collection, and that might be something that we could put in place to overcome that concern with the extra volume. And that's something that the City of Swan has just implemented as well when they can continuing to roll out their FOGO scheme.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Just could I confirm, Mr Mayor, through you, but I mean, with that City of Swan, I'm not totally au fait with it, but I do understand that they'll be returning the funds that they've received from the Waste Authority as a result of the change in the bin size. Is that correct?
I'm sure if it doesn't comply now with the grant funding, but
okay, so we're trialling something we wouldn't get the funds from the Waste Authority. Is that
no?
correct?
Well, I think we're not trialling. So I think what Councillor Migdale has asked for is a report. The officers have said that as part of the report, they'll give all the implications of different scenarios. One of the scenarios that has been discussed previously has been around the issue with FOGO is that people then drop their bin size or don't, get picked up every second week. So that would be part of that report and the implications that go with it in terms of not getting funding.
All right, so it's only considered as part of a report, not necessarily going to
and none of it
be
saying
the trial,
it's part of the report.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we'll put that one to the vote. That's a report. Thank you, and that motion is carried with councillors Crowdo, Dudek, Ferrante, Judici, Hatton, Kristovich, Migdal, Olo, Papard, Perkoff, Proud, Ree and Thornton voting for, and against councillors Lagan and myself. Item 14.3, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Ree, proposed pedestrian crosswalk colour change.
Yes, please. That a report be presented to the 18th of November 2025 Community and Resource Committee meeting on the number of crossing suburbs location, the cost of painting either side of the white crosswalk pedestrian road crossing red in colour to make it more visible to both pedestrians and all road users and potentially reduce road accidents. And I thank the officers for the report, and there is quite a few local authorities that have already started to do this.
Sure. Councillor Papard has seconded yours. We've seen them on the coast. Red Asphalt. I've got to put that to the vote, haven't I? Is there anyone opposed? If not, I'll put that to the vote. That is carried. 14.4, proposed notice of motion, Councillor Proud, cost of printed agendas.
This is a really simple one and it'll take the officers 10 minutes to do, to inform council of costs associated with the production of hard copy minutes and agendas.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for this? Councillor Giudice, is there anyone opposed? Councillor Lagan? Thank you. Just to be opposed, or do you want to debate it?
I'm happy to debate. Love to debate.
I was being serious. If you want, do you want to open debate? Is that what you? Yes, Councillor Proud.
It's a simple request for costings that will take officers 10 minutes to find out.
Can I be clear though? Can I be clear? When you councillors, all of you, as a collective, ask for reports to be presented, they are not a simple thing that takes 10 minutes. They cost probably thousands of dollars and days of time to collate the information. So every one of these reports takes officers time.
I have a suggestion.
Let's be clear though.
I have a suggestion, Mr. Mayor.
A question by an email takes 5 minutes. Reports don't.
So
Councillor Proud.
I'm happy to withdraw this and put it through as a question on notice. The answer is actually already known, but I'll withdraw this and put it through as a question on notice. That's what I'm doing.
I think you're withdrawing.
I'm going to withdraw this motion. I'll put it through as a question on notice. Everybody will be informed and it won't cost the city $1 million to do the report.
All right. No, that's all right. Questions on notice are fine.
It's important. That's what I
Yeah.
want to know. Why
Sure.
we...
Yes. That motion is withdrawn and it will form a question on notice. I'm sure that can be accommodated. Councillor Ree, your proposed notice of motion for asbestos removal?
Yes, please. I'll just do the alternative, sorry. The report be presented to Community Resource in early 2006, sharing the results of the 2005 asbestos contained material audit and options to remove asbestos from city-owned buildings, inclusive of costs and timeframes. I realise that we've already done a report beforehand and they want to upgrade it, although I don't think we've removed any, so I don't know why we'd upgrade that report. I think it's exactly the same. I don't know if anybody around the table knows that asbestos has been removed from any of their properties, but that's fine as long as it's in there that we've got a program.
There will be some. Some have when they've
Well, some have been removed?
only when they're part of a building. As in like a building refurbishment, there is.
Yeah,
there are
I
some.
know,
Yep.
but I don't think, to my knowledge, nobody's had that done, but that's fine, that's the
Is there
point.
a seconder for this motion? Councillor Kristovich. Is anyone opposed? I'll put that to a vote. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 6. Where am I? Yep. Sorry, I turned the page and skipped. We'll go on to item 15, which is notice of motion for consideration at the next meeting. Councillor Ola, I believe you have a notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council progresses its amendment of the City of Stirling Local Government Property Law, Local Law 2009 to include the prohibition of fishing at specific locations including Rosalie and Princeton Lakes by February 2026.
Thank you.
And do you want me to read the reason?
No,
or-
that's fine.
Okay.
Let's go. Councillors, are there any other notice of motion you wish to read out this evening? You may.
I did put up a suggestion a while ago, and I don't know where it is, and I did ask the question about if we could just, that the fishing, people fishing in our lakes and that is on the increase, and they're not necessarily just
Okay,
fishing fish.
Yeah, we can take this offline,
No.
councillor.
So what I'm saying is, because this is time frame, we haven't got a lot of time. Whether or not I put up a motion, I put it up that we've just put the signs to say no fishing in these lakes. Does that warrant a motion I've asked
No.
for it as a management issue.
No, there's already signs up, councillor. I think,
No, there's no sign that says don't fish in the lakes.
let's take this offline. I don't think it needs a notice of motion for that at all.
Well,
I think Mr Quirk is
There is
happy
no
to take that
sign.
offline with you.
there isn't.
Councillors,
Staff told me that.
councillors, let's just have a look if there's a notice of motions for consideration at the next meeting. Thank you. 16, questions by members of which due notice has been given. I have nil, and same with 17, there is nil. Matters behind closed doors, we do have 18.1, public parking options. So I will ask for a move and a second to go behind closed doors. Thank you. Move, Councillor Kristovich, seconded Deputy Mayor. And show of hands to close the doors. Councillors, that's unanimous. Thank you. So we'll close the door. Thank you. That's unanimous. We'll go to item, councillors, come on. Item 19, closure of the meeting. I declare the meeting closed at 8:18 p.m.